Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm Aliside, so grab yourself a beer and let's talk some video games. Alright, welcome back to the show everybody. Thank you very much for sticking around. I know I've been a little bit absent these past couple of weekends and because I've been traveling again and attending weddings and doing fun things that aren't camera appropriate. So please excuse all of that, and I plan to be back on my regular schedule of weekend to weekends from here on, since this is fun to do and I like talking to you guys. Got a lot to talk about today, so let's just jump right into it then. So a couple weeks ago I talked to you guys about the Operation Rainfall voting polls to help LAI localize either a Sega or Konami game, and those will be closing on September 27th, so if you haven't voted yet, please be sure that you go over and do so. I will link you to the polls. And in that, I wanted to roll into another story that kind of popped up and I didn't really pay much attention to that from TGS. And that's the announcement of a new Phantasy Star called Phantasy Star Nova. Phantasy Star Nova is going to be developed by Tri-Ace, which is a storied Japanese role-playing game producer. If you're unfamiliar with their works, they've done Star Ocean 2, some of my most favorite JRPGs, at least the ones that got me into JRPGs in the first place. And so, what I wanted to talk about is they announced Nova, and that's about it. We don't know if it's coming west. So far, it's only going to be Japanese exclusive. So I wanted to sort of pitch this out, maybe catch Operation Rainfall's attention, and maybe they could roll that into their pitch to Sega. Because I would love to see Phantasy Star take root here in the US. I think there's already some good feelings about it, especially since the Phantasy Star games back in the Dreamcast era, the Phantasy Star Online, I mean. They actually have Phantasy Star Online 2 going right now too, and that's only in Japan right now. So maybe if we get this train rolling, we can convince Sega that there is actually some interest here in the US, and maybe we can get ourselves in on some new Phantasy Star action. Perhaps later this week, if you follow me on Twitter, I do some writing for some websites. I've been playing with the idea of doing a little bit of back history on the Phantasy Star series, maybe to cultivate some interest in people that aren't aware of the series, maybe. So keep an eye on my Twitter if you're at all interested in reading about some gaming history, I guess. And yeah, so I think that about wraps up that. Make sure you go vote. Again, I'll link you to the Op Rainfall website, and I hope to see something come of all of this. So this next bit of news isn't so much on the gaming and footage side of things, but it's more on the marketing side, but it's still sort of fascinating, and it probably concerns us since this is going to be quite a major change in part of the world. China is set to lift a ban on gaming consoles that's been in effect since the year 2000. That's 13 years without a video game console hitting the Chinese shores. That's a long time for any company to just pretty much ignore a whole region of the world. And think about it, that's what, close to 2 billion people over there? That's a ton of sales that they've been missing out on. So with this opening up, this is going to be opening up a ton of revenue for the big three and all other gaming companies. So this is probably going to be a good thing since it'll be jacking up sales. This news interested me because, well, one, my brother is currently living in China, so he has no access to anything current or any method of getting it over there anyway, unless he brings it himself, which is kind of shifty going through customs. So that's good news for expats and others that aren't native to China that are going in and want to still experience new stuff. And it's also good for people living there currently, and residents and natives of China, since they haven't been able to partake in anything new in quite a long time, unless they've pirated it, and that's probably not a good thing with the Chinese government. The other aspect of the story is the fact that we might be seeing a lot of new IPs coming from China itself, since they haven't been able to actually play on the consoles. I'm sure they don't really have much in the way of developers or producers over there, so we might be seeing some pretty cool new ideas coming from China. Hopefully this all works out. It is currently rumored. I know it's been getting kicked around quite a bit, but I'm pretty sure the Chinese government has confirmed it as of now. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm sure the big three are going to be all over this, since there's quite a massive opportunity to make some lots of cash over there. Alright, and last up on my list of things to talk about, we're talking Mighty Number 9. And if you haven't heard about this one, you're probably living somewhere either in a box or under a rock, because it is all over the internet. Now just a quick recap, if you happen to be of the subterranean variety. Mighty Number 9 is a Kickstarter that is being run by Keiji Inafune, the original creator and developer of Mega Man. And it is currently on its way to the $3 million mark, which I think might be a record for a Kickstarter. Probably not. Actually, I take that back. That's probably not true. Anyway, they're fast approaching $3 million, and their next goal is actually set to be a release on next-gen consoles, so the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now, what has my attention is the goal beyond that at the $3.5 million mark, which is a release on the Vita and the 3DS. I want so badly for this thing to come to a handheld. It's not even funny. So I will link you to their Kickstarter, and if you haven't yet, I would definitely ask you to consider contributing to it, since this is probably one of the better Kickstarter concepts and business models that I've seen. It has an actual plan set forth, and they're moving forward with it swimmingly. So hopefully they meet all their goals. They're able to produce this thing out on a handheld for greedy people like myself. And yeah, so go check that out. Give them a couple bucks, because it's going to be awesome. So that about covers the topics that I wanted to talk about today. As always, if I did happen to miss some sort of major announcement or news item, please be sure to inform me down below in the comments. I always like talking about that sort of thing, and I know there has been quite a bit going on this week, so I know there's stuff that I've missed, but these are the things that caught my attention. And if this is the first time that you've come to grab a beer with me, be sure to subscribe so you can come back and grab another one with me next weekend. I like all sorts of drinking video games stuff. Yeah. So until next time, I'm Aliside. This has been Having a Beer. Cheers, everybody. I'll talk to you next weekend. Capcom left a giant hole in my heart where Mega Man once was, so go do it.